What's up, people? It's your girl Adeola. Oga Buhari, you're welcome. Congratulations on your daughter's wedding. As you guys can see, most big people in Nigeria don't give out their daughters before the age of 18. I'm just saying, in Mr. President's case, he made sure that his daughters finished college in Europe. Who for that? I don't think that those girls belong in the kitchen. But that's not what I want to talk about today. By the way, Mama Patience filed a $200 million lawsuit against EFCC for freezing her $15 million account. Okay, let's not talk about that today because her husband was in UK recently saying that he fought against corruption in his time. I was like, oh God, you should have started with your wife. Anyway, he also said that Dasuki did not steal anything. But that is not what we want to talk about today. Sokoto State gave out 31 million naira to 775 parents for them to send their children to school. Isn't that wonderful? I was so excited about that. But that is not what I want to talk about today. Also, Mr. President just launched, they call it 7 big wins to grow Nigeria's oil sector, focusing on the Niger Delta, security, transparency, accountability, and so on and so forth. Very nice. That is very nice. But why do we need to publish a book, Mr. President, on the 7 things that you are going to do? Why don't you just do it, And if it's successful, someone can write a book about it. Or is it just me that think like that? But, we're not going to talk about that. Today, I'm going to talk about the $29 billion. Mr. President, you're welcome. They said you want to borrow another 29 billion. Father! It's true, a lot of people say that every government borrows. They said without borrowing, you can't develop a country. But why $29 billion? That is a lot of money. My dear, how much is our debt before we had another $29 billion?
How much does Nigeria owe right now?
Well, how much Nigeria as a country?
Owes, yes.
No, you have, what I'm talking about is that you have different, in different ministries.
I know, but overall, how much is Nigeria's debt?
I couldn't give you the exact figure.
Oh boy, is that not the Minister of Budget?
But I can get back to you on
But you're
that.
the Minister of the Budget.
Sorry?
You're a Minister of the Budget. So tell us, how much does Nigeria owe?
I can tell you the fiscal deficit. I can tell you the fiscal deficit. But until everybody,
he doesn't know. At an economic forum, and he doesn't know. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't borrow money, but we have a serious problem with mismanagement and lack of accountability in Nigeria.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission says about $20 trillion has been stolen from the Treasury by leaders between 1960 and 2005. By the year 2000, $100 billion had been stolen with an external debt of $33 billion.
Here in America, you don't give loans to someone unless he or she has good credit history. You that are watching me, if your neighbor doesn't know how to manage money, you won't borrow him shishi, okay? Even if he's crying till tomorrow. It's the same thing with Nigeria. We've been doing borrow before I was born, and they will always tell us that the money would go towards infrastructural development. You would think that by now Nigeria should at least be like South Africa. But look at our roads. Look, every year they are allocating money on all these roads. Many of our roads are death traps. And many of our tertiary institutions in Nigeria, we don't have functioning toilet, common toilet. It's not like we don't have toilets, but students would prefer to go in the bush to poo-poo than to use these toilets that we have in some of our polytechnics and college of educations and universities. Have you been there? I'm saying that we never really use the money for what we said that we would, yet we keep borrowing. We keep getting more and more in debt. Does that make sense to you? Why can't we start by cutting down the cost of governance in Nigeria? That will even reduce how much we have to borrow, reduce all the salaries that are reducible. How can the president allocate 445 million naira on food? Kinonje, by waiting then the chop. Aso wants to spend 764 million on recreational activities. 764 million. State House alone wants to spend 27 million naira on computers. What happened to the computers that they bought the previous year? And let's not forget about how our governors are wasting money left and right, building houses all over the country. Why should one governor have 15 drivers? I'm saying that we can cut down the cost of governance. As much as we have recession in Nigeria, our officials are still living large. And part of the money that we borrow goes into maintaining their appetite. So they chop our money and then they do Thanksgiving and upload it online.
Jesus, yeah, Jesus, yeah, Jesus, yeah, Jesus, yeah. Oh, Bible, go.
Hey, did I ask you? Did I send you? Have I said that Dino stole money. What is your problem? You better mind yourself. Remind me again what this man has done for his constituency. You don't know. Me too, I don't know. And this is a man that used to drink Gari and Ekpa. He was an activist in school days. Oh boy, did I ask you, why are you putting up his poverty pictures? You are disrespecting your guy, Dino, and I don't like it. Take it off for Jade. As I was saying, now all we say is Dino 1, Dino 2, Dino 10. Some people are even saying that Dino has up to 28 cars. You want to tell me he's buying all these cars with his own money? Yet Nigerians will say, leave him. It is his time to chop. Na national cake. Some of you don't know that as they are chopping the national cake, they are chopping your future, the future of your children. Jonathan and Ngozi borrowed $9 billion in 2013. They also said that it will go towards infrastructure, agriculture, and employment generation. Are you telling me that we spent $9 billion on the trains constructed during Jonathan's administration? Like seriously, because I don't see the employment generation that they talked about. So what happened to the rest of the money? Now Buhari is telling us that the $29 billion will also be used to develop infrastructure, agriculture, health, education, water supply, growth, and employment. They basically repeat the same thing each time they want to borrow money. I'm not saying that Buhari will steal the money or that he doesn't have the intention to do these things that he said he would do. My fear is that if we don't deal with mismanagement, embezzlement, and lack of accountability in Nigeria, half of this money that we're about to borrow will also end up being mismanaged once they are allocated. You know, Buhari cannot oversee everything once it is allocated. And also, our mentality in Nigeria needs to change. Whenever somebody is appointed into public office, Nigerians will start saying this is his time to chop national cake. His family members also see his appointment as their own avenue to get contracts, even his distant relations. And then before you know it, when you allocate money to build roads, they will chop 80% of the money, and then they will do a cosmetic job that will start falling apart within 6 months. Meanwhile, the poor people keep suffering. Thanks to Bami Ogundamisi, this man uploaded pictures of the food that they are giving to our soldiers, the soldiers that are fighting Boko Haram. Just 2 sachets of pure water in one day for our soldiers. Doesn't that break your heart? You know, this is supposed to be fufu and ogbono. I make ogbono soup. My ogbono doesn't come out like this. Why should our soldiers be it? And then they said they serve them cold food. All because the ogas at the top have chopped the money allocated for our soldiers' food. Benny, you see what I'm saying? Mismanagement has globalized every aspect of our lives. Once again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't borrow money, but if we don't deal with the problem of mismanagement, 10 years, 20 years from now, we will still be borrowing money with nothing to show for it. And of course, it is my generation that will have to pay. Now we are owing China, we are owing World Bank, we are owing Japan. Father, where do they want us to find the money to pay back? They are not even thinking about us, the children. Why don't we start with, maybe 1 billion, and let's see what you do with it before we start borrowing 29 billion. You guys not doing anything, waiting be my own. Guess what? I'm just keeping it real. Moving on to Cameroon, October 21st was a tragic day, and people are now calling it Black Friday because of the tragedies that happened. First of all, landslides, which happened after heavy rain that lasted for days. So people couldn't travel between Yaoundé and Douala. They couldn't travel by road. And then another tragedy happened on the same day. Because of the landslides, a lot of people decided to take the train. So they added extra cars to the train. So instead of carrying 600 passengers, they carried 1,300 passengers. So the train was packed, but instead of the driver to move slowly, he was actually overspeeding. I mean, that's like gambling with people's lives. The train was packed, yet you were overspeeding. I don't understand that. Sure enough, the train crashed. More than 70 people reportedly died that day, although some Cameroonians are saying that it's much more than that. Someone said, based on the testimony of those that were on the train, that up to 300 people died. For several hours, people were stranded beneath the heavy weight of the train cars. Many of them were crushed to death. At least 600 people were also injured. Some of the pictures and videos are so graphic that I can't even show them to you guys. Honestly, my heart bleeds for Cameroon, for those who lost their loved ones. Please accept my condolences. But then a lot of Cameroonians were so upset after the accident because their president has been on vacation in Europe since he left the country for the UN General Assembly in September. The man has been in Geneva. So he was tweeting his condolences from Geneva, Switzerland. And he didn't even return to the country until the 3rd day of the accident. I've heard though that this is not unusual, that the president of Cameroon sometimes goes on vacation for months. I was like, what? That Heck no. But you know, how can I blame the man? He's been president for 34 years. No, so he's very comfortable, very, very comfortable. He believes no one will challenge him. That is why he keeps doing this. Clearly, he's not going to leave power willingly. If Cameroonians want him to leave, they will have to kick him out. The man will not leave. Speaking of kicking him out, some Cameroonians in countries where the president vacations in Europe are now protesting whenever they know that he's around to waste their money. Like I said, he was in Geneva in Switzerland, and this man had a lot to say to Mr. President in front of his hotel.
Et je suis venu ici aujourd'hui pour dire qu'une fois de plus, je suis là pour dire aux criminels quand vous logez dans cet hôtel de dégager tout de suite. C'est pas possible. Comment pouvez-vous loger avec un criminel? Un criminel qui a abandonné son pays depuis près de 2 mois aujourd'hui.
Hey, my brother!
Qu'est-ce que tu fais ici tous les jours? Est-ce qu'on a enterré ton embrune ici, Bia? Est-ce que ton papa est mort ici? Est-ce que ta mère est morte ici? Mais qu'est-ce que tu fais ici tous les jours, Bia?
You know, Mr. President had spent weeks in Geneva at this time just sitting in a hotel on the 6th floor. What I don't understand is why some Cameroonians are still defending this man. They said that, well, there is relative peace in Cameroon. Really? Yeah. But there are countries that are moving forward. You want to remain where you are? I don't get it. So this man that was protesting said something that I really like. So he said beer heights in Europe, so he won't see people's misery back home. When I heard that he goes on vacation for months, my conclusion is that Cameroon is not good enough for him. He prefers Paris. He prefers Switzerland. But why can't he make Cameroon like those countries where he's going to hide? And why shouldn't other Cameroonians be entitled to the opulent life that he's living outside Cameroon? Kudos to these guys that are protesting. I really admire them. I'm sure that Mr. President got their message because he came back. But you guys know I don't know much. Guess what? I'm just keeping it real. Moving on to Togo, one woman has been giving the government some serious headache. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you guys remember my friend now, Farida Naborema in Adeola. This woman recently released videos and pictures of dilapidated government institutions in Togo, including schools. Benny, reporting live from Togo. Do you have the video of the hospital? So she also took pictures of the statue built by the president in his village, which apparently cost taxpayers millions. She also uploaded pictures of homes of government officials looking really nice. Meanwhile, some of their neighbors' houses are barely completed. This is a school, by the way, in the president's hometown. And you know, I've seen schools like this in Nigeria as well, but this broke my heart. Like seriously, bricks. As in, using bricks as table. You know, it broke my heart. She basically posted things that the government doesn't want the world to see. Keep in mind, Togo is a country of 6 million people. 6. For my Nigerian viewers, that's like talking about Kaduna State. That is the whole country. Or let's say Oyo State. The whole country's population is like, you know, the people of Oyo State. This should be one of the best countries in Africa with 6 million people. They're the second largest producer of phosphate in all of Africa. Unfortunately though, 12% of public expenditure goes towards arms acquisition. Togo has one of the largest arms expenditure in Africa. They supply weapons to a lot of rebels in Africa. Meanwhile, the government has failed to develop infrastructure, schools, hospitals, and so on. And also for the last 49 years, only one family has been in power. Gnassingbe was president for 38 years. And now his son is serving his 3rd term. And he knows people don't want him. He forced himself on them for the 3rd time. Looks to me like he also wants to be president until he dies, just like his father. So when Farida's pictures and videos surfaced online, a major newspaper in Togo carried the story, but instead of doing something about her reports, the government declared her wanted. As in, they were going from house to house, trying to find this woman. And then they also sponsored people to write false stories about her in the newspaper. I said, chai, look at these people. It's very pathetic. They said she's a prostitute that came from America. They said she came to meet her boyfriend in a hotel. I mean, it's bad. They said she's 18. She needs to go back to high school in America. I was like, what? Why not address the issues that she brought up? I thought it's only in Nigeria that some men will start calling a woman a prostitute if they don't like what she says. I didn't know that they do this in Togo as well. It's very sad, very, very sad. And then on top of that, the government officials are sending her private messages that they will send people to rape her. They will send people to kill her. I'm like, eh? In other words, they want to scare this woman. But you know what I think? It's very obvious that the government is afraid of this woman. They're afraid. That's why they are doing all this, and that's why they are trying to intimidate her. But I spoke with her recently. She's safe, okay? And let me say this to the government of Togo. I'm watching you. You better not do anything silly. The whole world already knows that you're afraid of this lady, and you should be ashamed of yourself, you know? Instead of sending out police to look for Farida, why don't you just do right by the people? Africans, they don't tire me. Honestly, I wish that more Togolese people would do what this lady is doing. I wish more of you will upload pictures and videos. If about 50 people are putting up pictures and videos like she's doing, the government will be forced to fix your roads, fix your schools, and your hospitals. Let me tell you, one of the reasons why dictators do what they do and get away with it is because they know that they will not be challenged. They know that they will get away with it. Anyway, please make sure that you follow this lady on Facebook, Farida Naborema. She's launching a campaign that 50 years is too much under one family. But you know, I'm very proud of what she's doing. You guys know I don't know much. Guess what? I'm just keeping it real. So for our rapid news of the week, some women in Kenya are now learning karate to defend themselves from rapists.
Not the force that you use to hit, it's the accuracy and just knowing where to hit.
Unatumia macho, unatumia hapa, unatumia kutumia mguu yako.
No. Kudos to these women. The oldest of them is 85. These rapists believe that if you sleep with an old woman, it's an atonement for every bad thing that you've done. Can you imagine that? Also, some of these rapists said that they believe older women will not be HIV positive. That's why they sleep with them. Now, these women are taking charge. They're learning to defend themselves. And in Nigeria, Kaduna State banned Shiite Muslims. I'm like, what? What happened to freedom of religion in Nigeria? And guess what happened? Another massacre. There was a series of coordinated attacks targeting Shiites across northern Nigeria that left at least 16 people dead. I mean, don't forget that in 2015, December, more than 350 of them were killed as well. Isn't this how Boko Haram started? If you don't like people's religion, it doesn't give you the right to kill them. I mean, that is just wrong. This is human rights violation. And speaking of religion, a lot of viewers have asked me why I've not talked about Angola banning Islam. It's because it's not true. Angola never banned Islam. The story was reported by a French-speaking newspaper in Benin. I mean, the story did not even originate from Angola. It originated from Benin, and it's not true. Before you know it, it had circulated. Some people were even protesting in London, in different parts of the world, for the Muslims in Angola. But the story is not true. The Angolan government said that they read about it on the internet, just like the rest of us read about it. They said some buildings were built without proper license, including some mosques. So they closed down all those buildings. It's not as if they targeted mosques until they were able to do the right thing. Some of those buildings that were closed down have been reopened as soon as they did the right thing. So there are several mosques that are functioning in Angola. In fact, according to BBC, Islam is thriving in Angola. And still on Angola, the Supreme Court is now asking the president to explain why he made his daughter the head of the oil sector. As you guys know, in April of this year, the president fired the entire board of the oil sector, and in June, he made his daughter, who is reportedly the richest woman in Africa, by the way, he made her the chairman. I'm waiting to hear the explanation that the president will come up with, because, you know, this is Africa. It's very clear that these people are now making it a family affair. Keep in mind that this president has been in power in Angola for the past 37 years. Yes, since 1979. And I'm sure that you've all heard that Burundi, South Africa, and Gambia have decided to leave the International Criminal Court, ICC. Gambia said that ICC is only focusing on crimes committed by African leaders.
The withdrawal of the Islamic Republic of the Gambia's membership is warranted by the fact that the ICC is in fact an international Caucasian court for the persecution and humiliation of people of color, especially Africans.
That is Gambia's Minister of Information. So I want to know what you guys think about this, the whole ICC thing. Many people have been saying that it's the right thing for African countries to leave ICC. Others say that Burundi is leaving because the president just forced himself on his people for the third term, and he doesn't want to be accountable for all the people that have been killed since people started protesting about the election. Others are saying that Yahya Jammeh of Gambia, who has been in power for 20 years by the way, and keep in mind he's running again in December, you know. Anyway, they are saying that the man is known for jailing journalists and opposition members, and he has killed several people that opposed him. So some people are saying that Jammeh is leaving because his hands are not clean. Lastly, some people are saying that Africa should have its own International Criminal Court. Do you see that happening? Do you think that some African leaders will ever be accountable for their crimes against their own people? So let me know what you think about this whole ICC drama in the comments below. You guys don't know much. Guess what? I'm just keeping it real. So before I leave today, I'd like to read some of your emails, and the first one is from Niger Boy, and he sent me several pictures. He said, "Hi Adeola, these are pictures of Teddy village of Abule Osun before barracks in Lagos State. The people in this community have been living in these terrible conditions since Governor Tinubu, Fashola, and now Ambode's tenure. It would be nice if keeping it real would be a medium to tell them that we need help. I'm hoping you will tell for us, so Your Excellency, make us part of the cosmopolitan dream." Ungo, ba mi Ambode. Remember the people of Teddy village of Abule Osun before barracks in Lagos State and make them part of the cosmopolitan dream. Bene.
The road in this community is so bad, we had to park to hop on a bike. Those who dared the ride go through this.
It's very sad. I can't believe people actually live like this.
It's just as if government is not existing in this area. And they come for revenue. About 3 years ago, people died there. They waste life there. Children, even though there's some police, by that time, they die inside that water.
Like, sometimes I feel like I've stayed too long in America. This is sad. This is bad. Why should this be in Lagos? The next email is from Mohammed Idris Sadiq, and he said, "Hi Adeola, I'm a Nigerian student in Uganda. We like Nigerian government to bring back all our ATM cards. That is our message." He attached a picture as well. He said his message was forwarded by Mohammed Abubakar Balde, and he attached this picture saying that they are no longer able to withdraw money outside Nigeria. And I'm sure he's not the only one facing this difficulty. Nigerian government, why? I mean, for how long? You know, you don't understand. People outside Nigeria, we suffer outside Nigeria. Mr. CBN governor, you know, you're that funny. Please remember these students. People are suffering, like for real. The next email is from Habu Yawale, and before I read it, he sent his email after the episode I did where Nigerian president said that his wife belongs in the kitchen. So he said, "Hi Adeola, Aisha Buhari only had a secondary school living certificate when she married Buhari. Based on his pragmatic outlook to life and a zeal to empower women, Buhari continuously sponsored Aisha's education to master's degree level." And then of course he listed how Buhari sponsored Aisha and so on and so forth. A lot of people have been circulating this thing, by the way. You will find it on Facebook, on WhatsApp. Nigerians are circulating it left and right, saying that Buhari doesn't have anything against women. He sponsored his wife. I said, shoo, are we even talking about this right now? Like, don't get me started. It's not as if Aisha came from a poor family background. Please. Her grandfather, Alhaji Mahamadou Ribadu, was the first Nigeria's Minister of Defense. No, be so. And her father was a civil engineer. Aisha's father was a civil engineer. And her mom was a renowned textile businesswoman. So please, Aisha did not come from a poor background. And you know, I don't want to get into family issues, but people keep sending me these emails, okay? Buhari married her at the age of 18. So if she will go to school, it has to be his responsibility. You don't expect that her parents will be paying for her education if he has decided to marry her at the age of 18, do you? My belief is, if Aisha did not marry Buhari at the age of 18, her parents will still send her to school. So please stop sending me these messages that Buhari was the one that made her. Like, what do you expect? If he decided to marry her at 18, who is supposed to pay for her education? So please stop saying that without him, she will not be anybody. No, she didn't come from a poor background. She would have been somebody. And who knows, maybe she would even be more educated if she didn't marry Buhari when she did. I'm not saying that she's not educated. She has her master's degree. But I'm saying that this woman did not come from a poor background. So please stop circulating all these things that if not for Buhari, unless you are trying to say that Buhari could have decided that she wouldn't go to school, which will tell me that you are okay with some men doing that. No, education is not a privilege. It's supposed to be your fundamental human right. Everybody should be educated. I got a lot of messages like that. That's why I had to address this. People should just stop sending me this thing. You don't want me to get back on this whole kitchen and the other room stuff. It gets me upset. Anyway, that's all the time that I have for emails today. Please keep sending your emails to adeola.keepingreal@gmail.com.
Growing up in Kenya, my sister and I were very close. But like any sisters, we fought a lot. She always got new clothes and I always got hand-me-downs. Now she's putting her children through school in Kenya. We still fight sometimes, especially when I send money for the kids. I tell her, buy some clothes for the younger one, and we both laugh.
With nearly 500,000 locations, our app and online, this is moving money for better.
Alright y'all, it's been real and I'm keeping it real right up in here. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Until next week, I'm gonna see y'all later. Peace out!